Yo, what's going on, guys? Let's get back in today. We got a brand new video this time, bringing back Litecoin and talking about a little bit of thing that people might not really be paying attention to, and that's something that's pretty important to look at, especially at this point in crypto and Litecoin and Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff, and how Litecoin is connected to Bitcoin. As we all know, Litecoin and Bitcoin are like this. They've always been compared to as Litecoin is silver to Bitcoin's gold. They've been very similar in how they work and very similar in how everything goes on with them publicly and stuff. So with them being like that, a big thing to look at with Litecoin, whereas other coins you don't really need to look at this. It is still a good indicator, but with Litecoin it's a little bit more prevalent, a little bit more important, especially when looking at the future with the Litecoin halving coming up and the Bitcoin halving coming up next year within, I think it's like 350 something days. We have the Bitcoin halving, and that's going to more than likely push the market even further. We have big guesses on what it could be, what the prices could be, and hopefully we see Bitcoin rise up, we see Litecoin rise up, and the market rise with it. So with that being said, what is the secret about Litecoin that people may not be paying attention to, but in a couple years, maybe 1 or 2 years, maybe even by this halving, could have a huge effect on the price of Litecoin and how people view it, view maybe even crypto in general. So that little yellow line that you see if you go on CoinMarketCap, you will see it compares the coin to worth of Bitcoin. So one Litecoin would be worth like 0.01 Bitcoin or something like that. So that is a big thing, because even though maybe the price of Litecoin isn't rising super rapidly, the price compared to Bitcoin has been going up over time. I mean, we've seen it go up these past few days and few weeks. The power of Litecoin to Bitcoin has been going up, even if the price has been kind of going downwards and finding a little bit of stagnant activity. So what that means is obviously Bitcoin being the main coin of crypto, the most expensive, #1, all this types of stuff, that if Litecoin can become worth more Bitcoin, that just means it's going to become worth more money as well. So when you look at it that way, the goal to be for Litecoin that a lot of people are talking about is to push Litecoin to the 10% margin of Bitcoin. So they want Litecoin to be worth 10% of what Bitcoin's worth, which would be really great. Obviously 10% of what 10,000 would be 1,000, so that would make it obviously worth 10 times what it's worth right now. And if we can see this in the future creep up, we'd see a big skyrocket in Litecoin price and volume and usage and all this type of stuff, which is obviously good all around for both coins, for Bitcoin and Litecoin. But Litecoin in specific will benefit from this because it's so closely tied to Bitcoin. It has been ever since it's been created. So the big thing to take away from this is in the Bitcoin halving, which is 350 something days away, or maybe even less than that by now, it could be in effect where people are predicting the price of Bitcoin at 50,000 a coin at that halving, because Bitcoin is already insanely hard to get, and it is going to just get even harder. Not to mention the coins are running out. There's going to be a max supply. It's approaching that. There's not a lot of coins left to be mined. Obviously that's not going to happen for a little bit, but with the coins being mined and mining being harder, and it being harder just to mine coins and get them for free. It's not free, but you don't have to pay the Bitcoin price for it. So with that, could easily push Bitcoin's price. I mean, we've already seen all-time highs at 20,000. If this halving can have more of an effect and have more mass people coming into Bitcoin because of it, could push it to that $50,000 range. I don't think that's super out of the question, but Litecoin could be following. I've seen people predicting it at $1,200 a coin for Litecoin by next year, which would not be 10% of Bitcoin. So if we can keep up this trend of being worth more, if Litecoin being worth more Bitcoin every day and reaching this goal, I don't know if we can actually get to that 10% margin before the Bitcoin halving, so in under a year, but we could probably push a little bit further and get closer to it. because obviously $50,000 Bitcoin will put Litecoin at 10%, will put it at $5,000 a coin, which is still a very substantial amount of money per coin. So if we see that, that would be insane. 1,200, I would love to see that. That would be pretty cool to see a Bitcoin push the market and be able to push, you know, Litecoin up like that. As well as if we see Litecoin getting all this more power with Bitcoin that people really aren't focusing on. Nobody's talking about this. Nobody is really talking about this because everyone's talking about the price of Litecoin, this bear market, how it could turn into a bull market, all this kind of stuff. So it is important to look at that other line, that yellow line on CoinMarketCap, because it is still important. And if we can even push to the 5% level of Bitcoin by the halving, and if Bitcoin gets 50K, we could get to $2,500 per Litecoin within under a year, which would be insane gains again, which wouldn't be out of the question because Litecoin is known for its insane gains. It had a great 2019 first half. It gained like 301%. It was the #1 cryptocurrency in terms of how much percentage it went up over the year. Bitcoin didn't have that. A lot of other coins didn't even come close to it. So Litecoin, with big percentage moves, it is kind of in its nature to do that, and it wouldn't be super surprising to see it pull this out and pull up to that $1,200 mark, maybe even $2,500 mark by the Bitcoin halving. So just a little quick video because this is something people really aren't talking about, really aren't showing that Litecoin is gaining power on Bitcoin. And if it can get that 10%, which is where, you know, Litecoin, where we kind of want to see Litecoin be, we want to see it get that 10% of Bitcoin of that price and have 10% of its market volume and not market, but market cap, and maybe even surpass its market volume on a 24-hour day because it's the coin that's meant to be used to be spent and sent with low fees and all this kind of other good stuff. So, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know if you guys are in crypto or Litecoin, if you have been looking at this, the yellow line on CoinMarketCap, those simple graphs there, and seeing it go up with volume and all that kind of stuff. But as always, guys, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. I was Thomas Porter. I'm just going to go on and see you guys in my next video.